Well, hello everyone. I'm doing an awful lot of recording today, aren't I? And hair on this side's kind of weird. There we go. That's much better. All right. So we are finishing up 1972. So it's the last bonus episode for the November 1972 issue. Starting in March, tomorrow, we will move to January 1973. And remember, the LP news at that time is every 2 months. So in March, we will do both January and March 73. And we will be caught up. Now, what will we do in April? Because we won't have anything till May. We'll figure it out. I am sure I will find something, but it'll be very nice to have things caught up, because then what the goal will be in the first week of every month that there is something to cover. The main episode, not bonuses, will be in the first week of every month. So you guys will start to know it'll be a little bit more regular. I mean, need my old lady glasses on. Well, these aren't exactly old lady, but I'm an old lady and I need glasses. So we will get started. And hey, Julian, I see you are there. Need to do the preliminaries again, as usual. If you enjoy this content, and I know I have a bunch more subscribers because of the Dave Smith Show, so thank you. Please consider supporting me. I would truly appreciate it. That is the Libertarian way. You can also support me for absolutely free by liking and subscribing. We are probably finishing up tonight for patrons only the discussion on Judge Gray's book, All Rise, and then we are moving into Fear and Loathing on the campaign trail of 1972 of Dr. Thompson, which is supposed to be a fantastic book. So it's 500-pager. We shall see. All right, enough with that. Let's move on to what we're going to talk about today. All righty. So again, this is finishing out this issue of LP News. December 1972, which was a double issue. And in this issue, they did like a year one roundup. So I figured that's what we would do. And we're also going to go over the back, which is kind of like mini minutes for one of their first meetings. And we will go over the interesting stuff on there. And I think I have a few other things potentially for you. All right, so year one on December 11th, 1972, the Libertarian Party will be 1 year old. And some year it has been. The El Paso Libertarian Party in Colorado does a LP birthday party every December 11th. When the 8 individuals who originally set up the committee to organize the Libertarian Party met on that December day a year ago and decided to dissolve the committee and go ahead with the party, the as yet unofficial party had 42 members. And the 1 year since that time, that number has grown to 2,000. I would love to identify those original 42. Right now, a project I'm trying to do is to identify the original, I think it's 89 delegates that were at the first convention. I think I've identified 15 so far. In its first year, the LP took in and spent over $24,000. That's a lot for 72. We currently have $1,370 in our treasury, with about $500 owed to us by various people. We nominated a presidential ticket, and our 2 candidates, Dr. Hospers and Mrs. Nathan, traveled a total of over 10,000 miles and spoke to over 5,000 people in person and reached an estimated 25 million via radio and TV. The party and its candidates received newspaper and magazine write-ups totaling approximately 2,000 column inches that we know of. The actual total was almost certainly at least twice that much. 2,000 column inches is the approximate equivalent of 12 full-size newspaper pages or 24 tabloid pages. The papers and magazines giving us coverage range from the New York Times, Denver Post, and Chicago Tribune, and other such establishment papers to underground papers like the Village Voice and Los Angeles Star. Even the government gave us some coverage via the Stars and Stripes and the public TV network. We got mentioned in Newsweek, and Jeffrey St. John gave us a good story on the CBS Radio Network program Spectrum. Wouldn't you love to hear that program? Maybe it's buried somewhere in all these tapes that I still need to convert. Of course, we didn't confine our efforts to mass media. We distributed over 100,000 pieces of literature from the national office, which, in other words, David Nolan's living room, and at least another 100,000 pieces were produced by the various state and local LP organizations. We ran or endorsed a total of 12 candidates in addition to our national ticket. Only one of them won, and again, that supports what I said last time. They are acknowledging Steve Sims of Idaho as a federal win, and we should too. And somebody in comments told me of somebody who won in New York later as well, and I'm going to need to go find that information again. So we've had at least several wins, but I wanted to really deal with the first one. But they got out a lot of libertarian ideas, more than anyone else has done, excepting only a few of the most prolific libertarian authors. The LP is now generally recognized as one of the 6 significant minority parties in the United States. No mean achievement, considering the fact that there were over a dozen candidates running for president this year, not counting Nixon and McGovern. In the 2 states, which is Washington and Colorado, where Hospers and Nathan were on the ballot, they outpolled several of the other minority party candidates, despite the fact we had less people and less money. In sum, the LP has done more in its first year of existence than any other libertarian organization has ever done in an equivalent time. The credit for this achievement belongs to you, the members, for your work, your ideas, and your financial contributions. We cannot rest on our laurels, however. It would be the greatest of tragedies if we were to drift away, to let things go until 1976 or even 1974. We must press forward with the greatest vigor, educating, recruiting, and organizing. Our period of most rapid growth in terms of percentage gains is now behind us. Never again will we multiply our membership by a factor of 40 plus in 1 year. Why not? It's possible. The fields are ripe for harvest. We have already got a majority of the hardcore libertarians who are interested in political action. From now on, we will have to break fresh ground. The national office will be doing everything it can to generate new leads, but the brunt of the burden will fall on the state and local organizations. And that's the way it is from then on. People get very confused sometimes. There are certainly criticisms that are valid to be directed at the National Party. But there are also equally the same amount, I would say, that is not legitimate. For instance, when people complain about who got selected as our national candidates, as the top of the ticket, the National Party has nothing to do with that. That's the delegates at convention. The LNC has nothing to do with who gets selected as our candidates. In fact, has nothing to do with who gets selected as any of our candidates. We don't fund candidates at all from the National Party. There's some rare exceptions to that. So let's say substantially. Like every once in a while, there'll be a grant given here or there in the amount of like $5,000, okay? I can think of that happening 4 times in the almost 6 years I've been on the LNC. So in general, we do not fund candidates. We do not choose candidates. That's just not the way it works. So just to get that straight. And also, there were some very weird comments on the 2 shows I'd been on with Tom Woods and Dave Smith, with people who just hate political action, I guess, who, when I was recruiting for memberships, somebody put this really sarcastic comment in, underneath. It said, oh, figure that somebody who gets paid by whatever is trying to recruit more members to get more money. And I'm like, you think I get paid? I don't get a salary. No one on the LNC gets a salary. And I'm finding out a lot of people don't know that. We are all volunteers. And most of us, I think the entire LNC, all has full-time jobs as well. So no, we don't get paid. The staff gets paid, and they don't get paid nearly enough. All right, continuing. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, we can locate some of the people who are prime prospects, although the state and local organizations should be doing this too. Once we have located them, however, it is up to all of you out there to win them over and sign them up. We think that even the most conservative growth estimates indicate that we can double the LP's membership each year for the next 4 years. This growth rate, which turns out to a paltry 6% per month compounded, will give us 4,000 members by the end of 73, 8,000 by the end of 74, 16,000 by the end of 75, and 32,000 by the end of 76. They did not achieve that. I think we achieved 32,000 in the year 2000, and we never achieved it since then. Why? 9/11. Right after 9/11, our membership took a nosedive. People were scared, and they were crying for government. If we can average 9% per month, we will triple our membership each year, giving us 160,000 members by the end of 76. I wish. And if we can average 12% per month, we will quadruple in size each year, giving us over 500,000 members by the end of 76. Hey, we can dream. How far we go depends on you, so don't slow down now just because the election is over. And it gives a little synopsis of how some of the state parties are doing. As noted above, our total national and state membership is now 2,000, with 40% of that figure being national members and 60% being state members. Now, that's interesting. These numbers before, they were including, I guess, state and national. They're not quite so outrageous then. If we're going to count state and national today, we've easily got over 500,000 members, I would think. Like in Colorado alone, we have 42,000. You know, national members is what, about 24,000 now, which is fantastic. California, I don't know how many members we easily, so actually these numbers aren't so crazy. I thought he was just meaning national members. Okay, so we'll continue here. Nationwide, we have 10 members per million population on the average, but some states are far ahead of others. California has over 350, New York 200, Texas and Illinois over 100, and Alaska has the highest number of members per capita. I'm surprised Colorado is not listed on here, considering that's where they were formed. And there are 3 states where we have no members at all: West Virginia, North Dakota, and South Dakota. Alrighty, so that was David Nolan's recap for year 1. I think they had a lot to be proud of. Oh, need my soda. All right, so now to XCOM. They didn't call it the LNC at that time. Let's move this forward if we can. There we go. All righty. So the LP National Executive Committee, which would be the LNC today, met in Albuquerque, New Mexico on November 25th with 12 of the 18 voting members present. We now have 17 voting members, so the size is comparable, at least to then. There's also alternates, but they're not voting members unless the primary's not there. I'm not a fan of the whole alternate system. At that meeting, which was also attended by about 25 non-voting observers, the following actions were taken. The dues were left unchanged. Newsletter to be published bi-monthly in 73. I had mentioned that. It's going to be every other month. And we went over this particular part last time, so I'm not going to reread that section. And then it says it was voted to spend $900 to run ads in non-movement publications to reach new prospects. And they list the ads. One will be an analog science fiction, another an intellectual digest. I might try to find these ads. And Reason, of course. Reason is the book orders for Dr. Hosper's book. Will go in there. So I think I am going to try to find that analog science fiction ad. That would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? So the next item says, declare your independence set as LP theme for the next 2 years. I want to see if I can pull that up. 1 second here. Because I do have a copy of that bumper sticker, if I can find it on my desktop. If you give me 1 second. Yeah, this is of a collage, but you'll get the idea. That bumper sticker in the background there, the Declare Your Independence, that was the theme at that time. Where this collage came from, if you're not a member right now, on Facebook, we have a group called Libertarian Party History, and this is the banner for that. And you can see here also, Declare Your Independence is a button there as well. So there's some very cool things in that group. So that is the theme then for the next 2 years. Okay, let's go back to where we were. So it was voted to drop Break Free as our overriding theme and to adopt the theme Declare Your Independence, which it was felt will tie in well with the upcoming bicentennial. New bumper stickers, buttons, and brochures centered on this theme will be available soon. Details in next newsletter. It was also voted to continue carrying Dr. Hosper's 4th of July speech, which I don't have a copy of, unfortunately, and to restock the ever-popular laissez-faire buttons with the Liber sign. Satellite organizations approved. What's this? Approval was given for the establishment of 4 satellite organizations which will work on special projects of value to the party. I've never heard of these. These are a committee to lobby for easier ballot requirements, a candidate advisory committee, a consumer rights organization, and publishing service. Okay. Next, 8 states affiliations approved. And I'm going to need to put this information in Elpedia. And I thought, well, let's read this first. Affiliation petitions submitted by state LPs in Missouri and Colorado, Michigan, Minnesota. Why'd they put an and before? Isn't that weird? They put an and in the middle. He messed up. Michigan, Minnesota, New Jersey, New Mexico, Ohio, and Pennsylvania were accepted, bringing the total of recognized state LP affiliates to 15, up from 8 prior to the XCOM meeting. Michigan was already recognized, but submitted a petition anyhow. Why not? Cover all the bases. A petition from Arizona was rejected after evidence was presented that there were irregularities presented in that state's temporary organization. A petition from Wisconsin was approved, subject to resubmission with signatures rather than typed names. A motion by some California LP members to remove recognition from the currently recognized organization headed by Alan Kuhn and accept a petition from their group instead was rejected. So drama already. That's funny. All right. It was voted that in the future, petitions for affiliation cannot be submitted until a state convention has been held, at which the National LP Statement of Principles is endorsed, officers elected, and a state constitution and bylaws adopted. This will hopefully eliminate problems of the type which arose in Arizona and California. Now, this will get a little bit into the weeds. I'm just going to say it, and if people are interested, they can ask me about it, because they might be wondering, like your particular state party, chances are they don't have both a constitution and bylaws. Colorado does, but that's because we were one of the first parties formed in the LP. And at that time, the advised practice was to have both a constitution and a bylaws, but current modern parliamentary practice is just to have bylaws. Okay, other actions taken. A resignation from the executive committee submitted by James Bryan of Oregon was accepted, and the resulting at-large vacancy was filled by electing Paul Hodgkin you know me in pronunciation, Lord have mercy, Hodgson, previously XCOM member from Region 8. This leaves a vacancy to be filled by Region 8. It was voted to take the money remaining in the campaign fund, about $150, and return it to the party's national treasury as partial repayment of the $250 given to the campaign fund in June. Now, this is interesting. It was voted that in the future, National LP will not invoke the FCC fairness doctrine to get equal time on radio and TV. State organizations and individual members may do as they wish. This is always like one of those things where, do we take advantage of status laws? That is always such a tough call. I think I would have agreed that we shouldn't invoke the fairness doctrine. Just like, and I know this will be controversial, and I would love to have a show on this. People, let me know if you're interested. I do not believe that when we hit 5%, we should take the government welfare check. I know there's strong feelings on either side on this, but I think I need to write down all these show ideas, but I think I need to write down why I am opposed to that. Okay, next, the 1973 LP Conference, which is an off-year convention, will be held the second weekend in June. Location is not yet established, but should be known by the time of the next newsletter. If you're paying attention, you should notice something here. We had a convention in 72. Now we're having one in 73. And we had one in 74. So in the beginning, we had conventions every year. But then, and I want to pull this up, they moved to odd year conventions, which we don't do. So I would like to pull up here. I'd like to show you guys something. Okay, this is Lpedia. If you've never been to Lpedia, please go, because that's where you will find all kinds of interesting. Ooh, and I'm all in my little logo there. Let me see if I can take care of that. Not that you guys really need to see me, but let's see. Yay, moved me. All right. Yeah, if you haven't been to Lpedia, please go here and poke around. And also, start your own article. You are significant. I'd like every LP member to have their own article. For instance, now I've been working on mine a while, but you can see it's quite extensive, but you can have a shorter one. But please do. But what I wanted to show you guys is the year of our national conventions. Okay, list of national conventions. Okay, so 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77. So all the way to 79, we had yearly conventions. And then it started skipping to every other year, which it has remained, beginning in 1981. But notice they were odd years. We now have conventions on even years. And that changed, you can see, between 93, and then they waited 3 years and they had one in 96. That is when we switched to even number conventions. I don't really yet understand the reason for that. It's probably has something to do with filing deadlines. I'm not sure. But that is when that's when it switched. And I think there was one that wasn't really, yeah, we don't have it here. There was something we had here called Alternative 80, which really wasn't a convention. So that's not listed on here. But I really would encourage you to explore Lpedia. Like, for instance, hopefully it won't pull up something stupid, but let's just do a random page here. Yeah, so look, there's information on various LNC meetings. There's somebody, Luke Brumfield. We could love to have more information. West Virginian Libertarian. Something about the Hudson Valley Convention. There is just all kinds of information in here. So I really would encourage you to go check that out. Okay, let's get off of this page and go back to where we were if we can. Alrighty. And the last paragraph. Paul Hodgson was given the authority to draft a letter to Ayn Rand, pointing out her inconsistencies in endorsing Nixon and asking her to explain her position. We don't have this letter. I would love to see this letter. Draft will be submitted to XCOM by mail for approval before it is sent and will be signed by those XCOM members who wish to do so. Alrighty, that is, I thought that was pretty cool. And I think I've got one other thing I wanted to show you. Let's hide that and let me see if I can find this. I might not be able to. Is it in? Yeah, here we go. There's a picture I wanted to show you. That's me, of course. And you can see, is collapse of two-party system ahead. Susan Hogarth took that picture of me. But what is interesting here about this, I'm in the basement of headquarters here. And this is what led directly to the historical project. Susan and I visited party headquarters in, crap, I don't even remember what it's, 2016, I think, maybe 2015. And we were taken downstairs and we got to look at all the old LP news and we're like, whoa, that's so cool. And our executive director at the time was Wes Benedict, and he said to Susan and I, would you like to see the storage facility too? And we were like, storage facility? No one knows about this. And we're like, yeah. And he took us down there and it was like kids in a candy store. I'm like, look at all this stuff. Nobody gets to use this. What's it do? What? And before you knew it, next thing, half of it's in my frickin' basement, and that's in the storage facility in Parker. Yeah, that was a fateful moment there when Susan and I went down to look at these items. But I seemed pretty happy. I didn't know what was going to happen to me. You sweet summer child. Oh boy. Okay, everyone. Nope, I don't want that. We already looked at that, so here we go. That's exactly what I wanted to do. So that is it for today. And yeah, probably maybe even recording something else after this, but it won't be live streamed. We'll be starting on the next LP News probably next week. I've got a lot of interviews and stuff going on. If you have any ideas for shows you'd like me to do, remember. And I don't have the thing here. Let's go back to this one because I can put this up and put back up my patron information. Remember that my top tier subscribers, which are $25 a month, which I don't have any right now, so you could be very special and I'll mention your name and everything, but they get to dictate a topic if it's something for me to cover. The last one I did for a top level patron was, does libertarianism allow voluntary slavery? Because I had somebody who was top tier for a while, and I appreciate it even for the amount of time that they can do. But if you would like me to cover something that's of particular interest to you, that's a privilege you get once a month as a top tier subscriber. But anything you could do to help, I would really appreciate it. It makes my night when I see in my inbox I have a new subscriber. But that is it for tonight. I hope you all have an awesome night, and I will be seeing you soon. Bye-bye. Mi guapas de libertad.
You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business.